Okay, so this is our last, Father Bulso and I, our last reflections together before Father Bulso becomes pastor at St. Edward Church. So I'm going to...
I suppose this video will probably be released after I have already gone, won't it?
I think that's correct. By the time the editing happens, Father Bulso will be pastoring St. Edward Church. So I just have to add, before we start talking about things to stay busy with during the summer, I know everybody's spending more time with your families, that it's been a real joy and privilege to be with you, Father, during these years in St. Henry. So we'll continue to be connected, but I'm going to miss him here. So, all right, so the last review we thought we would do is, in terms of staying busy during the summer months and even perhaps into the fall, one of the things that we loved as kids were board games. And we used to play this game called Dictionary, where we would find a word in the dictionary that no one knew the definition for, and we would all make up definitions, and then the real one would be written in, and you had to guess which one was the real definition. So I have very vivid childhood memories with my family seated around the den, including my grandmother, of us playing that game together. And they actually created a board game that's based on that concept called Balderdash. So it's a pretty cool thing to play. So if you're looking for something to do with even children, this one is really a lot of fun.
I wanted to start out with a video game, actually. And this is a video game that came out a few years ago and was very popular at the time. Sort of maybe gone down a little bit since then, but still a lot of people playing it. Pokemon Go, which is an interesting game. They call it augmented reality. Let me show you. This is what the main screen looks like for me, which may be kind of small in the video, but maybe you can get a sense of it. What's interesting about the game is that the gameplay is tied to real world places and locations. So even actually, St. Henry is a kind of a stop, what they call a Pokestop, or a gym in the game. But what's interesting is that they call it Pokemon Go because they're trying to get you to go out and do things. And it really does. It kind of gets you walking because you have to go out in the real world to use the game. And you can tell, too, it reacts to the weather, too. So based on local weather data, in the game currently for me it's raining because it is raining outside as we make this video. And it looks like... Oh, I have a Team Rocket balloon that's floating above me. I'll have to go battle Team Rocket and get them out of the way. But really kind of a neat game, especially if you liked Pokemon as a kid, as I did. Pokemon started out as kind of a card game, actually, deck building kind of game, and then a bunch of video games spawned after that. But anyway, so Pokemon Go.
You know, I'm so grateful to hear about this Pokemon Go because a few years ago when this did become popular, we had a lot of teenagers walking around the St. Henry campus because apparently we have these gyms here on campus. And I was just grateful that a game was bringing people to church. I thought, this is great. And many of them weren't even our parishioners, so I was delighted about that. All right, another great and very interesting game. If you like games like Monopoly or the Game of Life, someone gave me as a gift a couple of years ago Trekking the National Parks, the board game. And this is an absolutely wonderful and interesting game. If you like maps and you like national parks, it's a lot of fun to play. So a handful of people, 2 to 5 players, but it certainly brings a lot of enjoyment in an evening.
My next recommendation is a game I discovered in seminary, which is called Settlers of Catan. I don't have the actual thing here. It's at my parents' house, but these are some images of the game. But it's very interesting. The idea is you kind of go around and you're trying to establish houses and roads between houses and actually, what's funny is it's been a little while since I played this, and I can't remember how you win this game anymore. I need to get out there and play it again. But there's a lot of interesting dynamics in the gameplay because you really have to interact with people and work with them, and you kind of make deals with people, and so in a certain way, it can be challenging for friendships actually. But I say that in a good way. But anyway, Settlers of Catan, really fun game.
It made me think about board games that I used to play as a younger person. And one of the most addictive games that we ever played in college, I don't have it here today, was a game called Risk. The thing about it was you had to conquer the world, so often you did not end up with friends at the end of the game. So, but that was not my third pick. My third pick actually was something very simple. It's just a game of cards. So our family, we like playing cards, and probably our favorites growing up were things like spoons with the kids. So if you don't know how to play that, look it up on the internet. A lot of fun with kids grabbing spoons. But as an adult, I've gravitated toward things like hearts or spades, and that's an enjoyable way also to spend time together.
Yeah. We should probably mention bridge. Now, bridge is a hard game to learn, but it is, some of my priest buddies and I talk about it as kind of the archetype of all card games. But it is just a really, really great game once you learn how to play it. But my actual third recommendation is probably one you haven't heard of, which is called Legendary. And this is great if you love the Marvel comic books or Marvel movies. It's what you would call a deck building game. So a lot of it's about the cards you collect throughout the game, and but the idea is, and this kind of makes all the players team up. So there's one sort of villain, and you're trying to defeat this villain through the villain is a card, right? And you, the players, the human players, are teaming up and trying to beat the villain. Of course, there's one sort of winner out of everybody, but in a real way, you're on the same team. And if you lose, and you can't lose, everybody loses. So, interesting game.
Wow. The only other thought that I had, Father Bulso is more into the video games than I am, but when I was a young priest, I got very addicted to a computer game called Civilization.
Ooh.
So you start and the Settlers of Catan reminded me of it, you start as a single set of settlers on a planet, and gradually you have to build a civilization and either create the first rocket to the moon or conquer the world. And talk about addictive, I would say about 10 o'clock at night, okay, one more round, and over an hour later I would still be playing. So if you enjoy doing a game alone on a computer, that one is addictive.
And I just heard actually in a podcast that I listened to that two priests host. One of the priests is about my age, and he was saying he's playing Civilization 5.
Oh.
But I remember him talking about focusing on the space part of it, trying to get to space. Anyways, I'd never heard of it before that.
So hope you all and your families can find some enjoyable ways to spend time together this late summer and also into the fall.